Hi, and welcome to another episode of Cam's Coffee Corner. Today we're going to be talking about love. Hi, and as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about love. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about different fruits of the Spirit, found in Galatians 5:22 and 23. Today, we're going to be talking about love. In Galatians 5:22 and 23, it says, "For the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no law." Now, the first one mentioned is love. And if you've read the Bible at all, you see love constantly throughout the Old Testament and New Testament. Scriptures about love are continually found. We have God is love, or we have, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life." The greatest commandment is that you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your strength, and all your mind. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. And then we see Jesus later say, "A new commandment I give to you, to love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are also to love one another. And by this, people will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." We have 1 Corinthians 13, which is often referred to as the love chapter, where Paul talks about that you could have all the gifts, but if you do not love, you are a loud clanging gong. And then often, if you've been at a wedding where they've recited 1 Corinthians 13, you have the love is patient, love is kind. My personal favorite in 1 Corinthians 13 is, "Love does not consider itself having suffered wrong." And so that when people wrong us, we don't consider ourselves that we've ever been wronged or we've ever been hurt, because love sees past that. And so the Bible is just filled with love, with God's love for his people. You see God continually look upon his children and see they're in pain, and he loves them and is moved to compassion or moved to pity or moved to whatever. His heart just loves us, and he pulls us out of that, and then we dig ourselves back into the same situation, and he pulls us out because he loves us, and we dig ourselves back in. And so God eventually sent Jesus, the perfect sacrifice, because he loved us so much. And so now we can always go to him, and he pulls us up and out of it. Now, it's really easy to say that we are to love like Jesus, but it's a lot harder to do so. In Matthew 5:16, it says, "So, dear children, let us love, not in word and tongue, but in deed and in truth." Now, that's a lot harder to actually live out, because, as I mentioned, my favorite part of 1 Corinthians 13 is where it says, "Love does not consider itself having suffered wrong." The reason why is because I find it so beautiful, because it's so quick a phrase to say, but it's harder to live out, because when people wrong us, we want to stand on that and say, they hurt us. I have a reason to be hurt. I have a reason to be angry. But love does not consider itself having suffered wrong. Instead, it forgives and pushes past all of that and loves still. And we see that so true in the story of the prodigal son, where the father or the son comes to the father and says, basically, "I wish you were dead. Now give me the money that I would get when you die. I want to go do my own thing. I don't want to be here dealing with you." And the father says, "Okay." And so he sells off a third of everything he has and gives him the money. And the son goes and squanders it, as we know. And he comes back, and it says the father runs out to him, which would have been unique. You wouldn't see a Middle Eastern man, a patriarch of a family in those days, run out to meet his son, but he does. He recklessly forgets about his position, his stature, any pride that he had. No, he runs out there, fully heart abandoned, loves him. He doesn't say, "Hey, you owe me a lot of money, you came back." No, he says that, "I love you." And he doesn't consider himself having suffered wrong. His son literally wished him dead, but instead he decided to love him instead. And so this is something unique that God calls us to. The world doesn't say this. It says that when you're wronged, you have a right to be wronged. But God says, instead, I want you to love those who don't know what it's like to be loved. Those who are hurt and feel like they have been abandoned, I want you to love them. And oftentimes it calls for us to step up to a higher place, because we don't want to have to go down. We feel that oftentimes when we show love, we show weakness, that when we forgive someone for what they've done to us, we have to act in humility, and it hurts us somehow, but it doesn't. It raises up someone else, and to love people in spite of what they've done raises them up, and it helps us to act more like Jesus. In this day and age right now, no matter what side you stand on politically, you can see that our world is in turmoil. There's so much infighting in our own country. There's brother turning against brother, and sister turning against sister, father against son, mother against daughter, and you see so much fighting and turmoil. But what speaks out louder is when we see a beautiful act of love. Our hearts can't help but stop and look, and there's a sigh, there's a relief. We see there's hope, because love brings hope. God is perfect love, and we see that when God stepped on the scene and sent his son, during that time there was so much turmoil and chaos. Rome was occupying Israel, and everyone was wondering when the Messiah was going to come to save him. And when Jesus stepped on the scene, there was a breath, there was a sigh, there was hope. The poor looked to him, the injured looked to him, the lame, the paralyzed, the blind, the rich, the poor. It didn't matter where you were, everybody looked to him. Even the Pharisees went to challenge him and couldn't win, and they saw something beautiful, and it was that he loved. I think one of my favorite scenes in the Bible that Jesus shows love is to the leper. And the reason why is because when people had leprosy, they were supposed to go around with a bell yelling unclean so that everyone would part and get away from them. They were never to have social interaction or social touch. And I think right now in our society, a lot of people are feeling that way with having to be quarantined and separating. They miss that physical touch. And you can start understanding why the lepers felt so sad and depressed, is that they didn't have that physical touch, they didn't have social interaction. But Jesus went in and changed that dynamic. He went up to the leper and he laid hands on him to be healed. And I love it because it's such a sign of compassion and love. You see someone who's so hurt and needy, and Jesus goes in and knows, like, hey, I shouldn't touch him, but I'm going to. And I know this devotional is kind of all over the place, but the idea was not to just give you some step-by-step, but to show you that the entire Bible is just submerged in love. And if we can see it at almost every page we turn to in the Bible, from the creation and how beautiful God made the earth for us, not for his own pleasure, because he's not the one that's here living and partaking in it. He made the earth beautiful for us. We can go out and enjoy nature. We can enjoy the food that we get to cultivate. And God did that for us. He sent his son for us. God didn't need his son to die. We needed his son to die. And we know that Jesus is going to come back again, and it's not for his benefit, but ours. And so love is just seen in every chapter, in every book, and the Bible calls us to be imitators of Christ as beloved children. But the first step we have to do is to love. It was the greatest commandment we were given, and when Jesus gave a new commandment, he just improved upon it. He said, I know that you hear love your neighbor as yourself, but I'm saying love them as I have loved you. I want to challenge you today. There might be someone that you have in your life that you hold resentment towards, unforgiveness towards, bitterness, hatred, whatever it is. Take a step forward and love them. Give forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're wrong. It just sets you free, because bitterness is a poison that you drink hoping that it will hurt the other person. But when you decide to forgive, you let go of bitterness, you let go of anger, and you love, and it sets you free. It makes you feel better. And the Bible says when we return love with hatred, it is like heaping coals upon someone. So we are meant to love. We are meant to love selflessly, persistently. And I know that gets difficult because I said many times, it's easier to say than to do. But just take a step this week. If there's a person that you need to forgive, call them and let them know that you forgive them and you love them. If you see a person that looks like they're depressed or lonely, love them. Find a way to live out the example that Jesus set for us and love someone recklessly and wholeheartedly. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week. So have a great week. Bye-bye.